about it. We're going to be talking today about the good, the bad, and the daily driving aspect of a tuned BMW. In my case, this is my M235i. It's got the 6-speed manual, it's MHD tuned, it's got all the supporting bolt-ons to run a stage 2 tune, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, as you saw from the first clip just then, it's very addictive, and running a stage 2, for example, on this car, even a stage 1, it makes you want to have a heavy right foot all the time. Like, you just want to basically put your foot down to the floor all the time, and unfortunately you can't, because in the UK rules are really strict with cars and everything like that, so you can't be doing that. However, when it is safe to do so, on track for example or whatever, it is so much fun. Now, you may have noticed from that clip that this car sounds pretty decent. Now, it doesn't have an M Performance back box or anything like that. This is a full custom exhaust which I have fitted myself. However, the parts I had made for me, so everything is kind of custom made, and it's very free flowing. If you know some stuff about turbocharged engines, you'll know that they like basically an unrestricted exhaust system where it can all flow freely basically, which is what this car basically has. Now, if you're familiar with this engine, the M235i comes with the N55. This is in quite a few variations of BMW's kind of 2010 onwards type of cars. Pretty good engine. I mean, it has its flaws like any engine out there. However, for the driving that I do, which this is my daily driver, it works flawlessly. Obviously, the main thing, same with any engine really, you just got to keep on top of maintenance, and the car will look after you if you look after it. Now, the base of today's video is going to be me listing some good things about a tuned BMW, some bad things, and then obviously the daily driving aspect of it. Now, first things first, if we're going to talk about the good things, the sound, the performance, and the overall engagement of the car when it's tuned is so much better than stock. These cars come very capable from factory. BMW know this, same with basically all of BMW's inline 6 turbocharged engines. They come from the factory pretty docile, and they lack the power which they can have with their full potential when you tune them. So for example, the S58, we'll take that for example, in the new G80 series M3 and M4s. That car comes from the factory with around 510 brake. On a stage 1, you can get up to 620 just with a stock remap. Like, no bolt-ons, no downpipes, no intercoolers. The car is just capable of making that. So BMW just detune it from factory to keep the reliability and obviously all the other legal kind of parts of it intact. So the engines are very capable from factory, and obviously BMW detune them, which is why we have the option to actually put them back on a tune which they like. I would say they like. I mean, my car drives better, in my opinion, on a stage tune than if it was stock. However, it does come with a slight negative, which we'll talk about now. The negative, if you're running at stage, not so much for stage 1, it's more for stage 2 and stage 2 plus. The fuel economy is dreadful, and it is really bad in the case of my N55. I mean, on the motorway, you're probably looking at 15 mpg, which isn't great. However, that comes at a price point because you're having so much fun driving it, and maybe I have a heavy right foot, maybe that's the downside. However, if that's the only negative for the car and how fun it is, I'm not too annoyed. Now, the other plus points, as my car is manual, it's a very engaging place to be as it is. I get to change gear when I want to. You know, it's not so, don't get me wrong, the automatic boxes that these cars come with are incredible. However, my personal preference, I wanted a manual, which was just, at the time, the best option I could get. Bear in mind, the blow-off valve on this thing sounds nuts. The turbo flutter, it just makes me smile every time. The auto boxes, they're not bad, don't get me wrong, and the fact that you can tune them with like XHP and everything like that to make the shifts faster is obviously incredible, because the shifts on them are going to be so much faster than I can change with a manual box anyway, let alone combining that when you actually tune them to shift faster, it'll just be another level. Now, that's another kind of positive, is the fact that if you combine this with the auto box, it's less engaging in my opinion, because you're not doing any of the gear changing. I mean, you've got the paddles, and you can play around with, you know, the DCT box lever or whatever it's called. However, it's nowhere near as engaging as an actual manual, because if I wanted to, I could rev this out to 7k and keep it there. Not that I would, but I have the freedom to do so. But again, the slightly bad thing about that is it comes with the downside of the car will be slower, because auto boxes change much faster than I can with a manual. However, I was happy to weigh that up to have a more engaging car, and when you're beating it around some of the UK roads or on track, it's a lot more fun. You feel like you're driving the car more. The only other downside to tuning a BMW is the fact that you have to pay for it. The tunes aren't cheap. I mean, you can go to a custom tuner, they'll charge you a crazy amount of money, but the tune will be good. You could also go for like some dodgy McDonald's remap, which I know some of my mates have done, and it'll be cheap, but it's probably not going to be a healthy map for the engine. You can go down the route that I've taken with MHD, for example. You have the two options, you have MHD or Boom Mod 3, both very good options. However, I personally chose MHD, and that's like around £500, so like $550, something like that. Then you're going to buy the adapter, and then if you want to tune the gearbox, then you have to buy the software as well. So the prices can add up quite quickly. However, if you have a car which is fairly expensive, not the cheapest car in the world, and you've put all the bolt-on modifications, and you're happy to pay the fuel economy, you surely would have the money to tune it. We've kind of listed some pros and cons then of tuning the cars there. I mean, I think the pros definitely outweigh the negatives. The negatives really aren't that bad, and like I mentioned in the previous video, if you're going to complain about fuel economy on a tuned car, then I don't really think you deserve to have one. And yesterday's video, I wasn't complaining, I was just making people aware that if they do tune it in stage 2, the economy will be dreadful. And another thing I love about the manuals is I can downshift from like rev match from 5th to 4th, and I can go from like 4th to 5th, and it just pulls. The blow-off valve on this sounds mega. Now we'll just talk about the daily driving aspect of it. What is it like to daily drive a tuned BMW? So in my case, full bolt-on MHD Stage 2 N55 tuned. What is it like to drive? I do a lot of motorway miles, currently sitting at 70 mile an hour, 2.5k RPMs, and it's a nice place to be. I can't fault it. The car isn't braking, there's no engine management lights on. The exhaust is loud, but it's just something I have to live with because it's my own choice. I have got baffles, I was just too lazy to put them in today. However, driving it right now, really can't fault it. The only thing I would say, round town, if you've got a manual, the clutch can be a little bit annoying. It's a little bit more juddery because it's more responsive on the different tunes that MHD provide. So combining that with a manual, a lot of in-town driving with traffic lights, junctions and stuff like that can be a bit of a pain. However, when you're out and about on roads like this, absolutely incredible. And the daily driving side of it, the engine will last a very long time, especially a tip for the N55s, which will prolong the life of them so much more. If you daily drive this, just prepare your schedule like an extra 2 minutes of your time. Go out, start the car up, let the oil warm up to like 30 degrees Celsius just before you take it off the drive. This just helps in so many ways to just get the oil lubricating better, because it's thinner when it's warm, so it gets in all the properties of the engine and everything like that, and it'll just prolong the life of it so much better. That's just a little something I do before I drive this car anywhere. I can't remember the last time I actually hopped in it and basically drove it immediately, like as soon as I sat in. I start it up, I let it idle for like 1 or 2 minutes, get my phone connected with the Bluetooth, sort out the whole car situation, and then I'm ready to go. I've got the oil gauge down here so I can measure the temperature. We're currently at 114 degrees Celsius, which is a lot more than it was earlier. However, if you just let it warm up, the engine will thank you for it. So looking back now, I've had the choice to stage 2 my M235i. Would I do it? And I would say yes. And I would say to my younger self, definitely go with MHD, which is what I've done, because the best thing is, if I'm on a really long drive, so for example we went to Germany the other week for the Nürburgring, it was about 600 miles on the UK side, I flashed the car back to stock, and I drove on all the motorway miles on a stock tune, because the fuel economy is better. It was just a little bit more relaxed in the whole car situation, and I enjoyed it. And that's the benefit with having the tuning ability on your phone, is you can flash it back to stock at any point you want. And there we go, that's going to be a wrap for today's video. If you did enjoy it, you can leave a like, you can leave a dislike, or you can leave a comment and I'll answer them. You can share it with your friends if they're looking at tuning their BMW and what it's like to daily drive one and the pros and cons of it. Be sure to share that with them. And apart from that, I really appreciate you guys watching. Loads more content coming on the M235i, and also there's a lot more on the channel, so if you want to check it out, the channel is down below. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you in the next video.